Well, hello. So today we're going to talk about the INTJ and the ENTP. I want to talk about them as feelers, and then I want to talk about what a friendship or relationship could be between the two of them just for fun. So let's start with the idea of them being feelers. It's not uncommon, I think, for some INTJs and ENTPs to test as feelers or to see themselves as feelers, which is really interesting because I think the people who are working with them or dealing with them can see that thinker temperament, the NT temperament, which is a very strong, dominant temperament. So they really don't come across as feelers to me at all. But then I guess in my head, I have a picture of what each one looks like, and it's usually pretty clear with these two. When you have an ENTP and an INTJ, I think that the reason why they think they're feelers sometimes is because I think both of these types can be helpers. They can be really, really good at helping people, and they can enjoy helping people, and they can be good at it, and they can also really care for people. I know ENTPs can be great at helping people with their problems. They like getting into that counselor headspace, and they can be very quick on their feet if they have people that are coming to them with different issues. They can think fast, and they can really help the person to work through their problems, but they're also going to be taking an objective standpoint on how the person can solve their problem and feel better. But I do think they can dip into an area where they are really, really interested in people and very curious about people, and that helps them to really help people with their problems, but it also makes them feel like they're feelers because they can really intensely care about people and their well-being. But make no mistake about it, they're not feelers. They're objective in their logic and in their thinking. Same thing with INTJs. There are INTJs that can be very good at helping people. For one thing, they are great at systems and seeing how things work. So they can jump in there and help someone to solve their problems in a similar manner that they would if they were creating a system at work or trying to put some things together. They can see some areas or ways that they can help, and they may just not mind stepping in and running errands for people. I mean, I've seen them totally take over in situations where there were people in need and just jumping in there and helping out. So they can feel to themselves like feelers because of their willingness to help people in the way that they can. But same thing, they're still thinkers. They're still NTs. They still have that dominant intuition thinking thing going on, and they can be quite strong-minded, strong in temperament. And I think they are a couple of types that it's like when you are that type, you know how you feel inside. You know that you're caring about people, but from the outside, they don't operate like feelers. They don't talk like feelers. They don't act like feelers. They are thinkers, but they can be very, very caring, very, very helpful to people. And I think people benefit from both of these types. So let's look at these two together, because actually I've seen some really, really great friendships with this type, with these two types. They can make each other laugh. They can get each other's jokes. They can be silly together. There's just something about this combination that works great for friendships, and it could also work in a relationship. So, they have two letters in common and two letters that are different. So it keeps things interesting, but they still share the same temperament. Both of these types can get a little bored at times, or not bored. Bored is not the right word. They may not like redundancy. They get annoyed. Like if they have to repeat the same slogan over and over and over again, they're going to find that annoying. Like, I don't want to do that. They both have a thirst for knowledge, and they both like intellectual stimulation. So they can also have some spirited debates, which can be a lot of fun. They can talk about people together, and both of them are going to be very focused when it comes to their career, and they're going to be supportive of each other. They can just kind of get each other. Like if there's a need, one has a need, or the other one is doing something or running a campaign or whatever, the other one is going to jump in and help. Or if the other one doesn't feel well, then they'll come by and help each other. They just know when to step in when it comes to each other. So both of them can be quite independent. When it comes to money, they may handle things differently, because I think ENTPs might be a little bit more impulsive with their money. INTJs are going to be more controlled with their money, even though there are some INTJs that like to jump in there and shop and find good deals and so they can both be a little spontaneous with money. But I think typically the INTJ is going to be a lot more strict when it comes to that. They can usually be very objective about situations, and they can both do well with problem solving and arriving at some really good solutions that can satisfy both of them, and they can really respect each other's differences. They both think in possibilities, like what could be, because they're both intuitive. So they're gonna both have a more global mindset on things. And the INTJ is gonna like how charming and funny the INTP is, and kind of their glib way of doing and saying things. And ENTPs are gonna be very good socially, and they're gonna be very intrigued by how brilliant INTJs can be. ENTPs can help INTJs to lighten up and have a little bit more fun and relax. And the INTJs can help ENTPs to focus more and get organized and be more productive. I think sometimes when these two are in the workplace together, what can happen is the ENTP comes up with the ideas and the INTJ executes them, even though INTJs can also come up with lots of ideas as well. But some ENTPs may struggle with follow through because they may be on to the next idea. So we talked about some of the positives. Let's talk about some of the conflicts, or some things that could pose some friction. For both of these types, they can have very high standards, but the INTJ standards might seem unattainable because they can be very perfectionistic. So they can start to come across as very rigid to the ENTP. Be some conflict when it comes to organization, because the INTJ is going to want to be very organized, and the ENTP is going to want to have more room to freestyle and go with the flow when it comes to their innovative projects. They're going to have lots and lots and lots of projects, and that might be bothersome to INTJs. ENTPs might be more distracted by opportunities that they find along the way, whereas INTJs might be very prompt and believe that when they make a commitment that it needs to be honored. So ENTPs, they might make some commitments that they can or cannot keep, but it's because they're also a lot more flexible than the INTJ. So they kind of leave leave some things open so they can bounce in and out of them. And just to bring up the feeling thing again, neither of these types are feelers. So they're not in touch with their feelings in the same way that a feeler would be. And so they can come across insensitive sometimes to each other because their approach is more objective. It doesn't mean that if they bring their issues to the forefront that they can't have empathy, but just picking up on certain things, they may not do that. And because one is extroverted, the other one is introverted, one is going to want to retreat somewhat when they have a problem, whereas the other one is going to want to talk out whatever the issue is, and that can create some tension over time. Let's talk about what ENTPs can do to be a good partner to an INTJ. So first of all, they have to understand that INTJs may want to do one thing at a time, compliment them on their achievements, try to stick with your plans and what you agree to do together. So if you say you're going to do something, really stick with that and follow through. If you change plans, then let them know ahead of time. They don't like being caught off guard necessarily. So you want to give them the space and the time to think about things before they respond, and try to follow some routines that are important to your partner, even though I know that could get a little boring, but that's going to make them feel more grounded. And you want to help them to relax and have fun, find things that can be interesting to both of you because you're good at coming up with ideas. Let's look at the ENTP and talk about how the INTJ can be a good partner to them. So you don't want to force your partner down on something or a decision before they've had a chance to consider all of the options, and because they'll want to explore those things with other people. You want to give them some choices, but be sure to give ones that you can handle. And ENTPs may like some surprises, so do some fun things for them every now and then and try something new. And you want to practice letting the little things go. Like that book says, don't sweat the small stuff and try to be flexible, which I know you can be flexible at times. So tap into that energy. Encourage them to have their own social life and to enjoy it, but also make sure that you participate with them sometimes because they'll really enjoy that. They like that encouragement and that support. And you don't want to question your partner's competence in public and vice versa. Neither one of you will appreciate that very much. So this is just kind of to give you some ideas of what that relationship or friendship even would be like. If you want me to do more videos on the INTJ or the ENTP, then like this video. That is what I look for when I'm making videos. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Why not? And that way you can see when I'm releasing new videos and you won't miss anything. All right, you guys. Well, you have a wonderful day and take care. Bye-bye.